Everyone, welcome to Big Talk live from the nation's capital. My name is Edikan Michael. A whole lot of concern in the progress of the nation. But before we delve into conversation tonight, let's bring you top political story in the country. President Tinubu had received the Germany President Walter Franke at the presidential villa in aware of bilateral relations in a meeting trying to see how Nigeria can work together with Germany and the ties, trying to establish some ties between Nigeria and Germany. The both leaders had expressed some strong commitment to enhancing their partnership across various sectors. They also met and talked some issues related to infrastructure, economic development, partnership in respect to energy, and all of those economic establishment was discussed with the president of Germany just today at the presidential villa. The president also reiterated his administration's dedication to fortifying a lot of relationship between Nigeria and Germany. He emphasized the potential for mutually beneficial collaboration. He also looked at on areas of energy which can drive economic growth and development in the country. During the meeting, President Tinubu highlighted all of that concern in terms of emphasizing the ongoing economic reforms that is designed to create a conducive environment for foreign direct investment to the country. He noted the enthusiasm from both Nigeria and Germany policymakers and business leaders to deepen their cooperation and the sentiment. He also outlined his government initiative to improve Nigeria's business environment, having to elevate the country's global business ranking and establish frameworks for shared prosperity. He voiced optimism about expanding the people-to-people connection and government-facilitated economy. And that was the highlight from the presidential villa earlier today with President Tinubu and that of his counterpart from the Germany. All right, other political top story coming from the National Assembly. It looks that the governor of Edo State, who after emerging as a governor, the seat reserved for him as a senator that was duly elected in the 2023 election, Independent National Electoral Commission to immediately conduct election to fill in this position. To fill in that position on the seat of the senator upon his emergence as the governor of Edo State. You can recall a month ago, the senator had duly seek the attention of the Senate to swing into the political wings, and of course, this is just coming just earlier today, confirming that. He also confirmed and said, according to Senator Monday Pobolo, quoting him, "Distinguished colleagues, this is quite emotional for me. From the moment I joined the 10th Senate in June 2023, every moment at the Red Chamber has remained especially memorable. We saw ourselves as forerunners of democracy, and we wanted the best for the nation. Barely 1 year in the Senate, I left to pursue the dream of becoming governor. Today, I am the governor of Edo State." These are the words of Senator Monday Pobolo earlier today at the floor of the National Assembly, confirming his total withdrawal and submission from the National Assembly to continue to look at the business of Edo State that he has been duly elected for. And that's the very big two political stories trending today, that of the National Assembly and the Senate. But tonight, everyone, will be turning our attention to the party crisis from Labour Party. 4 members of the House of Representatives of the Labour Party are defected, one joining PDP and the rest to APC. And just yesterday, we have another member from Labour Party defecting from the defecting from the party to APC, and which has continued to spark controversy from the House of Representatives, that those accused due process have not been followed in terms of their the withdrawal and resignation and the defection of these members of the House of Reps. They have also raised the concern of the political crisis in Labour Party, and tonight on the program, I'll be having my guests and the chieftains of the Labour Party will be joining us to express this concern and looking at what is the way forward for the Labour Party if the defection and the people who came into the party through the waves of the 2023 election are now finding it very easy to defect and also move their tentacles to other political parties. What is the fate of leaders defecting? This also gets back to the words of the INEC chairman, who said that the lessons we can get from elections in other climes is that politicians do not defect, constantly in other climes in other countries, making it very easy for the election empire to be able to have a free and fair election compared to Nigeria. That was the comparison of INEC chairman to that of Nigeria. And just yesterday, one other member defected from the Labour Party and have joined the APC, which is sparking a lot of concern. I'm being joined by Engineer Gambo Daniel. He's a Labour Party chieftain, and of course, connecting with us here in the Federal Capital Territory to speak on this issue tonight and establish some of the crises. What are the factors? It looks that the crisis in the Labour Party is still very strong, and there are many Nigerians that are very interested on the matter, and that's why we're having this conversation. Thanks so much, Engineer Gambo, for joining us very briefly tonight. Speak to us about the situation of Labour Party. A lot of concern about what it means for the Labour Party to be in crisis. The party that said they are better than any other political parties in 2023 election, but it looks that your party cannot properly manage the interests and the concerns of everyone from your Labour Party. Briefly speak to us about that.
And thank you for having me. As for concern, of course, there is reason to be concerned about the internal crisis in Labour Party. Labour Party, as it stands today, is divided into 4 factional groups. We have the Abure and his group that the court have declared as the leaders of the party. But then we have the NLC-TUC, who registered the party for the purpose of the workers of Nigeria. They also pulled out and have created a group which has structures from the national up to the world level. We also see the caretakers or the stakeholders of the party converging in Umuahia and nominated Nenadi Usman and Darlington Okocha, both senators, to lead a caretaker committee that will re-engineer or restructure the party from the national down to the world level. Then we also have the obedience movement, which also under Tanko Yunusa are working tenaciously to set up their structures, all within the same ambience of Labour Party. So definitely the party has been torn into 4 quadrants, and each quadrant trying to claim supremacy. However, Nenadi and her group have gone to appeal the judgment of Justice Nweti and Justice Omotosho, which gave Abure the laxitude of still holding to the position of chairman and his National Working Committee. So with these 4 factions, definitely it is of concern to those of us that really want to belong to Labour Party. And so if we who are stakeholders feel these divisions, which has now caused our members who are supposed to really be the leaders in the party, because they are elected by the people on behalf of the party. And so, look, with the situation in this chaotic situation or environment, we cannot excel, we cannot give our best, and decided to break away in order for Nigerians to benefit the dividends of democracy. To us, it's a concern that we are losing members, tangible and members who can support the growth of the party. But then they have a reason also of concern, because they are no longer looking at the party, but looking at the big picture, Nigeria. And so we do not look at this as healthy to the party, but for the sake of Nigeria, we did not see only these 4 or 5 people now, the campaign, we see majority of members of the party leaving the party for Abure and his group, because no right-thinking person who wants to exhibit his political ambition for the sake of the growth of Nigeria will want to remain under that structure, because he will never benefit from his desire. And that is so. That is one of our the way we look at things within the party, and we.
I clearly also understand the perspective you're coming from, that those that will look at the issue of Abure is still insisting that he's the chairman of the party. The last meeting that was convened by the governor of Abia State, precisely no more with the stakeholders, had set up some level of committee to take over the caretakership of Labour Party. But it looks that that has not given an headway. In all of these factions, does it mean that your party has to wait and rely on what the court interpret? What is given Abure the grounds that he is the chairman of the party? And what are the wings that constitute and also have aware of or play an advisory role in your party, which probably would have resolved these issues amicably without much running to the court?
Yes, you see, the issue here is that the structure Abure has and is running with is skewed. One, because there's no board of trustees, which are to provide the check and balances. Not that there wasn't, there was supposed to be. As we speak, there are 4 existing members of the created board of trustees that has not been inaugurated. As we speak, there was a consent judgment that requested Abure and the NLC to go and organize an all-inclusive reorganization. And I want to say reorganization of the party, not just the National Convention, because the National Convention must emanate from elected members at the ward, at the local, and at the state level. And not just the elected members, but also elected delegates. Now, the Innewi Convention, I stand to be corrected by any state that there was no due process. There was no election of the executives of the state, neither was there an election of the delegates. So for Abure to have convened the Innewi Convention with his colleagues and appointed people to serve as delegates, I think that is a misnomer. And that is why stakeholders are actually bitter and said we do not participate, or we did not participate either in the Innewi Convention as such. We look at it as a nullity. And there's nothing you build on nullity that stands. However, whatever measure, the court looked at it and declared the Innewi Convention acceptable and Abure as the product of the Innewi Convention. The caretaker committee, when the stakeholders met in Umuahia, said, no, we do not recognize the Innewi Convention. And so we should have a committee that will look at that and request all members that are in court to withdraw their cases from court, so that we have a party that is all-inclusive and organize congresses afresh up to the National Convention. Local, today Labour Party has 6 million voters. It is no longer a 1,000, 2,000 member party. And so to have a party, a convention where you just have 100 and something and 107 people converging in a small room in a way conducting a convention does not stand. We want to see a convention that is full of fanfare, that everybody is there to elect the people to govern them, so that we have a proper structure that we can be proud of as a political party. So that is it.
Because we've also listened to Peter Obi speak in some platforms saying that Obedient movement is an established movement, and that those are having a concern. Would Labour Party, yes, Labour Party have existed, for the past years. It's not just in 2023 as compared to how some persons feels that Labour Party existed from 2023. But can you say that Labour Party can do without Obedient movement, because it looks that this other movement of the people that came to support Labour Party are currently bitter about the crisis in Labour Party, that those that feels that all of that crisis has continuously pushed and made your party unpopular, which the concern about how your party was popular in 2023 is fast losing that popularity. Do you feel that your party, the Labour Party, can do without Obedient movement?
Well, I wouldn't want to speak for the Labour Party.
Mr. Gambo, can you hear me?
Sorry, please. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Very good. What I'm saying is that I wouldn't speak for the Labour Party being chaired by Barrister Aburi, but with that being chaired by Senator Nenadi, yes, we need the obedience because they constitute the majority of followership in the last election for Labour Party. However, I want you to note that the obedience and majority of the support groups are not card-carrying members of the party. Our hope and desire is that we convert them to card-carrying members. As such, in such a way, we will be able to get their total allegiance to the party. But as long as they remain within the Obedient family, which depends on where Peter Obi tilts the change into that direction, doesn't augur well for Labour Party. Neither the support groups. The support groups also are just there because they want to support probably Obi, or they want to support.
Hi, Mr. Gambo. A lot of concern about issues and concern coming from Labour Party. 4 members of the House of Representatives are defected to APC, and is still generating a lot of concern on their defection from Labour Party to APC. Mr. Gambo, if you are back with us, would you justify the defection of these members of House of Reps? Because they are part of, the interpretation is that when there are crises in your party, one have grounds to defect. Would you justify the defection of the over 5 members of House of Reps moving from your party to APC? All right, everyone. We'll try as much as possible to get reactions about the concern coming from the Labour Party and the defection which has generated an uproar from the House of Representatives, most especially on the concern about what informed their defection and on what grounds are they defecting from Labour Party.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me?
Level to the chapter and all of that before having the grounds to defect. If one does not really engage in all of that, there are chances of litigations over the position and the seat being declared vacant, and that's the reason why that has sparked a lot of concern. Can we justify the crisis from Labour Party to why the members of House of Representatives that were elected by the supporters, by the voters, and those who believe in the platform of Labour Party, is it justifiable that these members are defecting today to other party and to the ruling party? Is it that they are joining the ruling party just for their own interest? Are they joining the ruling party for the interest of Nigerians? These are the pertinent questions many are still asking.
Can you hear me now?
Who is the chieftain of that party is still here with us to give us a perspective on to all of that answer. Yes, you were trying to establish the fact that the Obedient movement are not card-carrying members of your party,
Yeah.
but they have
Now,
played a very important role in the emergence, or would you say the support level of what the Labour Party were able to have in 2023 election? Because those are said you can't separate both words. Yes, you cannot talk of Obedient movement without also talking of Labour Party. But our Obedient movement said, look, we can also choose another platform, we can also choose another party, to make our support to. But that is not at the crux of the matter. The current defection of these members of House of Representatives has led to a lot of people said, can we justify the crisis of the party affected from Labour Party?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Now, yes, we talked about the non-membership. The campaign of the 5 members is not justifiable because they have proved that they did not join the
All right, Mr. Gambo, a lot of breaks in transmission, trying to establish him to speak on that matter. But let's get to go on a break, everyone. And once we return from the break, I will be speaking and having clarity on if we can justify the defection of these members of House of Representatives to the APC. Do stay with us on the program. I'll be right back. Everyone for still stay with us on the program. Big talk, a lot of concern about the current defection hitting Labour Party. Just 5 members defecting, and still a lot of sparking concern about the grounds on which these members are defecting. I still have Honorable Gambo still with us, and Engineer Gambo still with us on the show to give us a perspective to that. Thanks so much, Mr. Gambo. Quickly react to the justification of these members defecting. Would you give them the benefit of the fact that the current crisis in Labour Party might be the push factor over their defection?
No, I wouldn't want to go along that line of thought. What I want to say, the campaign was not justifiable. You don't join a party because you want to belong to a party or you want to contest election under that party. You join a party because of its ideology. And if you really are convinced and that the ideology fits into your line of thoughts and what you want to push, the narrative you want to push to the public. Now for you to overnight, because there's an internal crisis which does not affect your life or well-being, to necessitate you jumping from a social democracy to a capitalist democracy, then something is wrong.
What do you make of a capital democracy and social democracy?
A social democracy is a democracy that actually focuses on the masses of Nigeria. If you look at the cause of the establishment of Labour Party is to allow the common man have a room to say, a platform to participate also in politics. A capitalist platform is the one that is only earmarked for the bourgeoisie, people who really can afford to procure seats, because it's more like procurement, where you put the nomination forms at 50 million and above. I don't think you want the masses who are qualified to be representative of the people to have such a money. Now, Labour Party was created for these people who cannot afford to buy what these people have laid as nomination or expression of interest forms to be able to contest favorably with other people. So when we talk about the socialists, our concern is actually the well-being. Do the people have good roads? Do they have proper medications? Are our hospitals functioning? Do we have electricity? Do we have pipe-borne water? Or even if we don't have pipe-borne water, what quality of water are our communities given to do their, for drinking and other chores? These are the things that the socialists will always want to focus their attention, the people, the people, the people. The capitalists are just after what? How much do we make out of the political environment we find ourselves? It is self, not the people. Now, however, we are looking at these people who came in for the, with that. Most of them actually did not even pay for the forms, or rather, if they paid, it was not an amount equated to what their colleagues in APC and PDP paid to be in the house where they are. They rode on the popularity of the situation at that time and became members. I thought it is fair enough for them to remain, and let us internally resolve the crisis through internal crisis, alternative crisis management mechanisms that is in the Constitution. But for them to leave without making an attempt to resolve the crisis, how many of them have actually called to broker peace between Abure and the stakeholders? Even if they are part of the stakeholders, but they are nominated or elected members of the party that are representing us at the two chambers of governance. All right? So I feel their going out is premature, and actually, if I may say, an act of irresponsibility, because they didn't show maturity in their action.
So
have appealed. Yeah.
All right. So would you say that we have more politicians coming into the Labour Party at the wake of 2023 election than the original intent of the organizers of the Labour Party?
No, wouldn't say so. Would Labour Party would have given,
because from what we are seeing today, likely is at the repetition of what we see in other political parties. We've seen internal crises that have persisted for more than some months now. We've also seen cases of a defection, also similar to what other political parties. So it makes us to feel that the Labour Party is not different from any other political party.
Of course, the way it looks now, the politicians have made them the same, but we stakeholders are trying to restructure, re-engineer the party so that it will have an ideology, and anybody who comes into the party must be somebody who believes in that ideology. And I think with that inculcation of into our minds, it will not be easy for anybody henceforth to want to decamp, because there's a belief, there's a faith that this party is for me and my people, not for me and my family. So that is where we are.
All right. In a way of resolving all of that, there are those that are still having their eyes fixed on Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of your party. They've also tested that. Those have also compared on his capacity to unite the political party. And if we cannot fix the political party, how much more would have it united the country as diverse, the culture, religion, and all of that? This also question the capacity of the presidential candidate, Peter Obi.
I wouldn't want to say things so. Now, the party is a unit in the country, and the party has its own complexities. Recall, Peter Obi joined the party from PDP, which has its own ideology and way of resolving its issue. Now, Peter is still, if I would may say use that word, young in the party, despite the fact that he is the presidential candidate. So he needs to study who are in the party and what their thinking is and their beliefs for him to actually wade in and bring about conflict. You hear him say often, the party, the crisis, internal crisis of the party is a family affair. I believe it's a family affair if only those people who are holding to their turf decide to say, okay, for the sake of Nigeria, let us come together and allow this system to work. And that is what Peter Obi is still hoping to see and hear from all the four factions I've mentioned. Let us come together and resolve this thing as a family. So, and I don't think that makes him weak as a leader. I believe if he was the president of Nigeria, we will see a better Peter Obi, like we saw him in Anambra State as being the presidential candidate of Labour Party.
All right. Would you say all of this is fueled by external forces? Because there are those that are pushing blame that it looks like the fight in your party and the fight in the opposition today might be fueled by external forces. Would you share on that same thought?
No, I will not. It is an internal issue. It is hinged on selfish intention rather than external forces. I don't think so. I think if only we can shit ourselves, we can remove our ego and believe that we can be what we want to be without forcing it to be, we will be able to solve this matter. Because I see the current National Working Committee insisting we have been in the party for years, we've been managing this party without funds, it is by our own funding, and now that the party has matured, that we are supposed to benefit from what we have expended in previous years, we are trying to be removed. If only they can understand, nobody is removing anybody. What the stakeholders are calling for, and every member of the party is calling for, is internal democracy. Let there be election. If they are returned elected, the party will respect them, and there will be decorum. There will be rule of the constitution of the party. But as it is today, the officers talking are nominated or appointed. And you don't run a party by appointing people. You run a party by electing people. And that is when they have the respect of the people and they also respect the people who elect them. So that is the issue. There's nothing external about it. I hear that also, that commentary, no, they are funded by deep pockets, they are funded by, no, nobody is funding nobody. It is our selfish interest that is fueling the internal democracy of Labour Party.
Mr. Gambo, your party has over 34, if not more than, in the House of Representatives. And also a concern about how much you also have in the Senate. And if all of these matters and these crises are not being addressed, are you afraid that you may lose more members to the hands of other political parties?
Yes, of course. Not just the members in the House, even the members, the followership will really reduce drastically because people will not want to go with the current National Working Committee. This I give you for free. All right? Nobody, a lot of people will want to leave either to other parties or wait on the wings, hoping to see where the pendulum tilts. Definitely, if the pendulum tilts with Nenadi, I assure you, majority of the members will move into the new structure and try to build Labour Party to the amiable position that every Nigerian will want to see. But if it remains within the current National Working Committee, I see a lot of defections, not only at the houses of Assembly and the Senate, but also in terms of followership.
Have your group made move to discuss or meet with Abure? What is Abure holding on to? Because those that may recall the last time Abure was also struggling issues of leadership with the other chairman. So it looks that the other Peter Obi and other Labour Party members were standing with Abure. But on these grounds, what is Abure holding on to?
Now, CSF, the concerned stakeholders, Foundation for Good Governance, actually, we were the first people to draw his attention to the illegality of convening the Inouye Convention. That didn't go well with the party. And because of that, some of us were suspended or expelled, even though the normal process never took place. So we look at that as null and void, because you cannot suspend or expel any member of the party first without a constituted disciplinary committee to hear both sides or to know what the grievances are and to try to resolve, or then escalate the outcome of the disciplinary committee to the state level and then thereafter to the national convention if it warrants expulsion. That wasn't followed. So whatever was flying in the social media concerning a lot of members of the forum that they have been expelled because we bear our minds requesting for due process, we look at that as childish and abusive of rights of members. Now, that notwithstanding, we also constituted a large portion of the National Transition Committee, which later was absorbed by the Caretaker Committee, which will also form part of the membership of the Caretaker Committee. Now, that shows our voice, our resentment to what is happening in the party and request for due process to happen. So it is not an issue of individuals saying, I spoke to Abure, no, or I spoke to other members of the National Working Committee, no. It is a collective voice. And, we have shown that what we see, we don't agree with it. And we are not saying we hate any one of them. No, they are our friends. They'll continue to be our friends. But then let due process take place. Thank you.
All right. How would you describe the current state of opposition? Because there are those that feel opposition in Nigeria is not too strong to engage the government and the ruling party of the day. Are you impressed with the second force and with the third force currently having in the country?
No, I'm not impressed at all. If you look at what happened during the tenure of Goodluck Jonathan, what the opposition did to even cause Jonathan to admit defeat, even when the results were not fully released, and there was no concrete establishment that he lost. But he said, the blood of Nigerians is not what my being in government. Now, this is what the current opposition is supposed to understand. The current opposition is supposed to take to really put pressure, because the people are suffering. Everybody is suffering, including those who we believe are enjoying are not enjoying, because the number of calls you get every day. My wife is sick, my child is sick, my father is sick, I don't have school fees. You end up catering for the people that the government is supposed to cater for. If the well-being of the people is good, they don't have to call you. But because they know you are the lifeline that they have to hang on to. So we find that the opposition is actually not doing anything to salvage the pains the masses are going through. What have we had in the last 1 month? What statement have we had from the opposition attacking the government policies with respect to fuel, with respect to the current new tax regime, with respect to the increase in tariff in electricity and other tariffs that people are being burdened with? We have not had anything from the opposition. Now, it is not a one-man talk. Farrington, you to him for bearing his mind. What they are talking about, the Afe Babalola's case, was just a kind of trigger, but actually his statement to call people to stay at home on the 3rd of December, not to go on the street and riot. No, just stay at home, sit at home. If everybody should sit at home, the electrical corporation staff sit at home, the water supply staff sit at home, all the hospital management and medical staff sit at home. Airport staff sit at home, bus drivers and, everybody, you can see what will happen. All right? But he is speaking alone, and see how they're chasing him like a rat, caught him and threw him into jail. So individually, no, it wouldn't work. It has to be a collective response or a collective action. And that is what the opposition is supposed to look. I now remember what happened in EndSARS. When you ask them, who is the leader? They say, we are all the leaders. All right, so who? Are you going to pack all? So that's what the opposition should be. When Tinubu and his group were rioting at that time, it wasn't Tinubu, it wasn't Wole Soyinka, it was a mass action. And until the position imbibed the mass action of coming together, have Peter Obi, have Atiku Abubakar, have other Showore, have the others in line, then you will see how the youth will come out and give support.
All right. So you are saying that for 2027 to work and for any other political movement, there's a need for political parties to come together to merge.
Yes, if President Tinubu, let me use the word, could get to the position he is today as an ordinary Nigerian like you and me, you know what it means in his position as the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Meaning, all he needs to tell the army to march and they march. All he needs to tell the police to pick their baton and they pick their batons and do what he said they should do. Or take their tear gas tenders and pour hot water and tear gas on the people. And they will do that because he is the Commander-in-Chief. So at this point, we only need to come together to be able to get success in 2027. Otherwise, no one party can do that alone. No one party can do that alone. And until we want to remain under perpetual dominance of the current system we are in, then we better come together. I agree with the merger.
All right. What's the position of your party in respect to this tax reform or your group in terms of this controversy surrounding the tax reforms bill?
Well, actually, I am, as the national coordinator, the group studying the tax reform bill have not actually given me their position. And for me to voice a position in respect of over 3,000 members, I think I will not be fair to them. I will want to remain neutral as to whether it should or should not, because I see the tax reform bill is pro-West, and so the North is actually kicking against it because of the impact they claim it will have on the northern minorities. All right, so I wouldn't want to say A or B in this instance.
All right.
I would want until I get the report from the committee that is looking into that before I can make a statement. Thank you.
In all of the policies, before I let you go, would you feel and also say and share with the sentiment of those that feel that the policies of government are not popular enough? We've seen attempts of government to also remedy the situation irrespective of the stand they've had, because we cannot talk of 2027 without having the interaction about how the people are faring and what is the development so far on ground.
Okay. Now, what if I may comment here? I would say the government is not making enough publicity of its policy before implementation. If I can recall the days of Babangida, he would throw the topic to the public, create committees to look at it publicly and get public, even if he's going to implement it, he will make sure that he makes it look as if it is the people's choice. Now, I also saw this in the times of Goodluck Jonathan, where every issues are debated publicly through the Houses of Assembly and through other public committees. But this government, I saw the vibrancy of NOA in disseminating information well ahead of implementation of policies. I have not seen this in this government. And so even if the policies are good for the people, there's no adequate sensitization as to why it is good for the people and for the people to digest whether it is actually good for them or not. The issue of the fuel regime or the electricity increase regime would have been thrown to the people to find out if we increase this tariff. This is the reason why we have to increase it. If we increase it, these are the benefits that will come to your direction by this increase. We saw what Abacha did with the Petroleum Trust Fund when they increased it. We saw Barimpa coming up and other road structures. You see schools, hostels, and classrooms with PTF. What have we seen of the increase in the petroleum and the electricity and other tariffs that the government has put on the people? Nothing. Even if they are doing something with it, we have not seen the evidence of that thing, because there's no adequate sensitization and adequate show of what they are doing to the public.
Thanks so much, Mr. Gambo, for joining us on the show tonight. Is the Labour Party chieftain and also the national convener and coordinator of concerned stakeholders for good governance. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Good night.
A lot of concern about the Labour Party rank, concern about political party, the state of opposition in Nigeria, which looks at the second force or the third force, you may likely put it, are losing popularity every day. Just 5 members from the House of Representatives have defected from Labour Party to All Progressive Congress, APC, and it has generated a lot of concern. What are they really, to the members that are defecting, what are they holding on to? It's due to the crisis, the continuous and persistent crisis in the Labour Party that has sparked that move. And of course, they are also saying that they need to also support President Tinubu to complete his renewed hope agenda. It was informed, the addition was informed by all of these factors and consideration. It looks that we still have a long way to go. People are not standing their ground in respect to political ideologies in Nigeria, and it's still a major concern. But what really matters to many Nigerians is not about the defection of the members of the House of Representatives or the Senate or anyone. It's about what belongs to the people and what is in for the people. We'll still track and know what this therefore means. If the intentions of the members that have defected is to support the president to succeed, at what level would the president succeed more to the satisfaction of Nigerians is still a major and a priority in the country. Thanks so much for tuning in on the show tonight. We appreciate you for tuning in and stay with us here on Big Talk. We do hope to see you again tomorrow. Tune in and joining us for next conversation. My name is Edikan Michael. A pleasure to have you. Bye-bye for now.